If we're not evolving every 2, 3 years as a human being, I don't think that we're growing. And so that's kind of my hope and my wish for myself, that I am able to continue to evolve, and my evolution comes through reading and learning from others. And whenever I meet somebody new, I just sit there and I say to myself, I am going to learn something from them. I may not agree with everything that they say, but I am going to learn something from this person is going to teach me something. And when you go in there with that mindset, you will learn something.
Hi, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what really drives them. The optimism, patience, idealism, and courage of these explorers is what we want to bring to life in these conversations with them. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, share with others, and don't hesitate to introduce us to our next guest. So, hello, Amit. How are you?
Good morning, Sabrina. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I have a heartfelt news story for you today.
So do
Um,
I.
Great. I like warm stories. So, Robin Williams, one of the best actors we've ever had. As we know, he tragically passed away, committed suicide a few years ago or several years ago now. But I recently heard that in his contract, a writer is what the requirements are that actors have when they sign a new contract. In his writer, he said that if he signs, any set has to hire a certain number of homeless individuals to work on the set. Had you
Wow.
ever heard that?
I hadn't, but what happens if they're in a city where there's no homeless people? If it's San Francisco, it's easy, but what if it's a city like, I don't know, where you live, where there's hardly any homeless people?
There are plenty here, but I think that's irrelevant to his story. The fact is, I mean, why weren't we talking about this when he was alive? I mean, it's such a beautiful thing he was doing, like giving homeless people jobs on set and making sure they had them. And I just wish that we heard more stories like this.
It's a nice story. I don't know if I'd put someone who committed suicide in a win, but I understand the angle, so I will accept it, Sabrina.
You
And
and I have
I,
a very different perspective on mental health, suicide. So we'll have to talk about that another day.
yeah, I'm not the empathy type of guy. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm the asshole. You're the good cop. That's what makes this pod work, Sabrina. Sabrina, I'm
Tell
gonna
me
beat
your
you.
story.
I'm gonna beat you. I tell you what.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, on a personal win, I had a son, and that's why I've been kicked out of my podcasting studio, and I've moved here to the elder son's room. So
Yep. Congrats again.
immediately, that's a good win. And on another side, another win is Twitter. Twitter, and I'll tell you why. I read a story on Twitter which happened in South Africa in 2019.
Okay.
And what it was is there was this woman journalist who put a photograph at Kentucky Fried Chicken in South Africa, i.e., KFC, where a man proposed to his girlfriend. And the woman put it as a piss take. How cheap and broke are South Africans that they have no class, that they're proposing at a KFC. How broke must you be? And she was a journalist, so she thought she was doing, I don't know, a joke.
Yeah.
But thanks to Twitter, KFC turned it around. The marketing team of KFC South Africa retweeted it, saying, "Hey, we're looking for this couple. Please identify them." And not only did they identify the couple, they actually went and helped them in preparation for the wedding.
Very cool.
Audi, Audi, the car brand said, "Hey, we will drive them for their honeymoon." McDonald's, KFC's competitor, offered them a free ticket to Cape Town and free tickets to watch Tony Braxton, who was playing
Oh,
around that time, right? Then there was a ring a jeweler who actually offered the rings for the couple, right? Then there was a couple of venues who said, hey, the wedding hosted in our place for free. Then you had local photographer who said, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah. So this spiraled and they become South Africa's loving couple. And
okay.
it was all thanks to KFC and Twitter. So what started as a joke for a journalist ended up being a very happy and endearing story of love, and how a moment so special for a couple, as you know, for any man to propose is the most
Oh, that's
nerve
a lot of
wracking.
pressure, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. And the journalist did not know that the woman's favorite restaurant happened to be KFC, and that's their weekly thing to do,
So the
right?
journalist takes a picture, puts it on, kind of bashing them,
Correct.
and it goes viral and turns into their favor.
Correct. And this is
Cool.
November 2019. And I just read about it in Twitter like last week.
Okay.
So my win is, apart from the birth of my son, is Twitter. And I
I
thought it was
hope
a
he's
beautiful
still
story.
married, and I hope they're married for a long time.
I tried to find that out, and I couldn't get any updated information on them. I guess they're old
Okay.
news now, right? So my fail is also Twitter,
Okay. Why is that?
because less than a week ago, Meta's CEO Zuckerberg launched a Twitter competitor called Threads, and in
Correct.
5 days they have 100 million users. That compares to Twitter that has 420 million users, and they've been around for 2007, 2008. Was that many
Okay.
years? Over 10
Yes.
years. And I think, well, we know that Elon Musk paid $44 billion to acquire Twitter. And
Hmm.
it's rumored that Zuckerberg spent 10, $20 million, because it's just a team of 20 developers,
That's
and they did it in 6 to 9 months.
that is fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing where this little rivalry goes
Yeah, I
between.
mean, so a couple weeks ago, Elon Musk on Twitter uh, basically said, let's have a fight, a cage
Mhm.
fight. And Zuckerberg just tweeted saying location, i.e., when and where, let's do it. And actually, recently, uh, yesterday, Elon Musk said, let's just do a dick measuring competition to see who has a bigger dick. That was Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter and SpaceX, on his platform, who said that. And luckily, Zuck did not reply to that.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's replying on threads to everybody. He's quite active. And just think about that: 100 million users in 5 days. It took 2 months for ChatGPT to get 100 million users.
Yeah. I think it makes it so much easier too because it's connected to Instagram and you
Yeah.
can quickly open an account. We opened one for Indian Explorers and I did it in 2 seconds.
Yeah. But then
So,
people saying that's a drawback, because to delete now your Threads account, you have to delete your Instagram account.
oh,
So
that's
they
true.
are connected. But that's the reason why it's so popular. I mean, to give you an example of how unpopular I am, I have 78 followers in Twitter, and I joined Twitter on February 2009, and I already have in 1 week over 50 followers on Threads.
Yeah.
Right? So
Everyone's jumping on the new thing. Even celebrities that are not A or B listers, more like the D listers, are
yeah,
jumping on there to, like the timing. The timing's now. Let's jump on it as quickly as we can.
yeah, and I think people are starting to hate Elon Musk, right, for all his rash behavior,
Yeah.
and it seems like Threads is more of a happy place.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, Threads, I don't know if it's needed. It seems to be just an extension of Instagram. Instead of visuals or photographs, it's just a bit more text and poems and good morning, you all.
To be honest, I'm not a big Twitter user. I know how to use it, but I don't get it, or maybe it's not my thing. So I don't really see myself using threads, but I had
Yeah,
to join and see what it's all about.
yeah. I mean, there are quite a few differences between the two. In a nutshell, they're the same. Threads has 500 characters per post versus Twitter has 280. If you compare the two, there is a Twitter, you can pay for it, and then you have thousands of characters. But it seems like Twitter has become a space with old, angry men of my generation just insult each other, and they don't have to use the real name. Whereas in Instagram, most people, because they use the real name and visuals and photographs,
Yeah.
it seems to be a happier place. But
That
I
makes me
think,
laugh about the characters because I feel that was Zuckerberg just saying, we'll just make it more characters and
yeah,
we'll
we'll
just
just
do this
nearly double it.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, good.
yeah.
Let's see where it goes.
Yeah. I think the competition between those two men has just started, and if there is a fight, Zuckerberg is a jujitsu trained athlete. You know, you've seen Elon Musk; he's just a chubby, fun character. But I do think, even though Twitter's in my fail, I don't think, even though Threads is going to have more users than Twitter. I mean, it already has. Instagram has over 2 billion people,
Yeah.
right? So if they have 20% of people right now in the first week, 5% of people subscribed.
You,
So 20% is 400 million. They're definitely going to catch up with the number of users that Twitter has. But
absolutely.
but I think Twitter is an active, out of 420 million people, they say 300 million people are active,
Hmm.
i.e., use it or log into it every time within 30 days. Whereas I think what's going to happen with Threads is a lot of people are going to sign up because they want to see what it's about, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But I don't see it being very active in terms of usage. But
Yeah.
anyway, time will tell.
Time
I
will tell.
think Indian explorers will be found in both, I hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Indian Explorers is on Twitter and Threads now. So these are two leaders. Let's see what they end up doing. And we have a leader to talk with today. So today I'm excited to introduce our guest. I know her from here in San Antonio, Texas, through a mutual friend, and I've always been fond of her. Trudy. Trudy is the founder and CEO of Discovery Clinical Trials, a company that partners physicians with pharmaceutical companies to conduct clinical research and trials. She has been recognized in the San Antonio Business Journal's 40 Under 40 list of young business executives, and more so, is a regular in Inc.'s list of the fastest growing companies in the United States. Because it's so important to her, Trudy makes personal and professional growth a priority in her life. And we are excited to learn more about her space and journey. So, welcome to the show, Trudy.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Amit. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Sabrina, do you want to start or should I start?
Go for it.
Okay, Trudy. First of all, welcome. Nice to see you. I'm glad to see we're matching outfits today. Trudy, I wanted to ask you if you could explain to us in layman terms what exactly you do. I read an article that you're involved in clinical trials and obviously Sabrina's introduction, but I didn't quite understand the whole administrative tasks that you're involved in and how you've grown to so many offices. So if you could just take us back in layman terms what it is you do, that would be a great starting place.
Sure. Clinical trials is kind of a complex part of healthcare. The way that drug development works is that pharmaceutical companies have a drug that they want to develop. They go to the FDA to get approval, and then they go to the actual physicians to conduct the trials. So they'll go to the doctor's offices. They'll get, like, let's say, high blood pressure study, and they'll say, Amit, do you have high blood pressure? And then, and then your doctor will pursue you and saying that you may have this particular disease state. This drug will help you, and then try to enroll you into a study. So that's where we come in. We work with physicians' offices to get the drug through the process, and so we enroll patients to get, let's say we need 1,200 patients, so we'll be one of the many locations doing the study to get the drug approved through the process. So I hope that that kind of helps you understand that this process takes about 10 years to go through, and it's a long, laborious thing. But once it's done, we have a new drug that we can all utilize and helps us.
I guess I took for granted the process and the administrative part for it. I had no idea that it takes approximately 10 years to get it from inception to FDA approval. Is
Yeah,
that so?
sometimes
It's
it
an
takes.
average about 10 years.
Yeah, it takes sometimes it takes even longer if there's nuances, if we can't find patients. If a lot of times the drug companies go outside of the US because we can't find participants here. So a lot of times we'll go out of the country, we'll have the study done maybe in China, in Latin America, in India. So because we need the patients, and sometimes we don't have the patient population here, or the patients don't want to participate. So you'd be surprised how many patients we get from overseas to ensure that the drug can get through the process quickly. That's kind of the name of the
Do you have
game.
to go through a lot of red tape to partner with other countries?
The process is, there's a lot of red tape in getting drugs through the process. It's not a quick thing. When we went through the COVID, and I know we'll talk about the COVID, that was a very quick process. But yeah, the FDA wants to make sure that the drug is safe, that if it's efficacious, and that the population is going to benefit from that. And so it does have a fair amount of red tape and time and effort to get through. So yeah.
Let's talk about COVID, or as Donald Trump calls it, his drug, or Fauci's drug, whatever you want to call it. What did you think in terms of the process, the expedition, the expediting of the process from 5, 10 years to what was it, 1 year?
Yeah, so yeah, everybody's got an opinion on COVID, right? I thought,
We want
yes,
yours.
I thought we as a industry did a really good job in pushing it through. It made us realize that how quickly we can push something through when you need it to, as opposed to the actual process taking so long. So I think that our system did a good job with getting drug out to the public quickly, and helping through it. So yeah, I thought that we did a good job on that.
Yeah. Trudy, let's start from even before you started this. What motivated you to start this company in the healthcare field?
Um, I have a healthcare background. I've been in healthcare all my life. I've got a master's in healthcare administration, and clinical research has always been a area where a lot of people don't know a lot about it. And so I was an executive on the insurance side. And I think that, when a physician friend of mine asked me for assistance, that's when I kind of got into it and understood why it takes so long for drugs to get through the process, and saw that there was an unmet need. And that's when I started looking at it.
Can you explain to us the business model? How do you get paid? Is it a multi-million-dollar contract? Is it what's the sales cycle like? Can you just walk us through the business?
Yeah, the business model is that the our payer is a pharmaceutical company, is our payer. We don't charge the patient, we don't charge the insurance company, and so that's who our payer is. We get paid per visit. The sales cycle is about 120 days, so we will have a diabetic drug, and we get paid fee for service per visit, per patient. So if you don't enroll any patients, you don't get paid. And if a patient only
Got
does
it.
2 visits, you only get paid for 2 visits.
Okay. And where are you today as a business? I read somewhere you had X number of offices. Can you tell us how many staff you have and the size of your team?
Yeah, we have an international team. We have outsourced to India. We have outsourced to the Philippines. We also have 5 locations here in Texas, and we have our corporate office here in San Antonio. So we have right under 50. We've got about um, those are like full-time employees, and then we also have, yeah,
50.
we also have a lot of physicians that are working with us, nurse practitioners. We also have, so we don't count those into our numbers. So There's a lot that goes into the clinical trials. It's like a village. It takes a village to get a drug through the process, because you don't realize that you need to have a whole recruitment team, a social media team to recruit the patients, because it's all about the patients. If you don't, you can have a study, but if you don't have the patients, you don't have a you don't have a viable business.
Wow, that's so interesting. I have a question. Approximately how many clinical trials do you oversee each year? And then it's twofold. It's twofold. My next question is there a particular clinical trial that you've overseen that you're especially proud of?
We do about 60 to 100 every year. And so we've been in business for 15 years. So that's a lot of studies that we have seen come through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Botox is probably one of my favorite studies. And so, Botox is a miracle. It's a miracle drug. It's been around for a very long time. And the reason I call it a miracle drug is because, it was initially not for wrinkles, as we know. It was for migraines, and it was for ophthalmologists injecting it around your eyes and things like that. And then people started saying that, oh, my wrinkles are gone. Right now we're doing a study where we're injecting it behind the head for people that have migraine headaches in the back of their head. We've also injected it into the bladder. We've injected it, wherever we can inject Botox. It is a miracle. It's a miracle drug, and it's been around. And so Allergan is able to go in there and get another FDA application in there to use it for yet another thing. So this is a prime example for one drug that's been utilized for multiple things, and so that's probably one of my favorites.
This is going to be my little plug in. Our mutual friend is the one who helps me with my migraines and my vanity. So it's Jovum Wellness Spa. So that's my little plug in for her.
And this is why we do the pod, Sabrina. I just learned something new. I thought it was just a vanity thing, and here I am learning it's a miracle
Yeah,
drug.
I need
So
to know
that's interesting.
when the drug for behind the head comes. Oh, that would be very helpful.
I wanted to ask you about speaking of drugs. I don't know if you're following what Elon Musk is doing with one of his companies. What's it called? Neural? I don't even know the name, where he's injecting drugs, or he's putting like a chip onto the brain, and to help people with paralysis. Is that something that even requires FDA process, FDA permission? Like what do you need to like what goes into FDA approvals, and what you can just do as a private for-profit
So
company? What's the
yes,
process? How
that
does one
goes into
determine
the
that?
device side. So there's another approval process for the devices. So if you're injecting or you're putting in a device, so that goes through the device side of the FDA, and it's a little less complicated than the drug part. So yeah, you do have to go through the process, but if you're not doing a clinical trial, you're not doing a study, you don't have to go through this process. But if you're just paying cash for it, and you're just just you want to try it out, then you don't have to go through the process. But I guess people are, if you're interested in doing it, you can. um,
If you're Elon Musk,
if you're Elon
you
Musk
Yeah.
can.
and you want to go, you can try
I,
it.
is there an ethical decision to be made if, for example, you're asked to do a clinical trial, but you don't believe in that particular drug? Are you able to say no, or is it strictly a business
No,
decision?
you can say no to any study. You can say no. So if you don't believe in what you're doing, you should not do it. So
Have you ever said
yeah,
no to any
we
study?
probably get, I don't know, a few hundred studies through our desk, and so we only say yes to the ones that we believe in, or we believe that we can do.
So this could grow. I mean, if you get that number of cases and you choose the ones you want, I'm assuming there's a big demand. So is this something that you're planning to carry on growing, and instead of 5 offices or locations, having 20 and keep the outsourcing business as well alive?
Yes.
What's your
Yeah.
plan
I
for
think
growth?
the plan is to always grow. I mean, if you're not growing, you're dying kind of thing, you know. So there's always new drugs that are coming out on the market. There's new disease states. There's also uh, areas that are unexplored. So we're continuously looking at new ways to evolve.
If you're not growing, you're dead. That's spoken
You're
like a
done.
true
I
leader.
actually wrote that
Tell,
down also.
yeah, I just wrote that down as well. Tell us
Yeah,
about
I
your
mean,
leadership style.
Well, I think the leadership style evolves after, you know, I think that when you first started a company and you're in the midst of just surviving, and now you're in a different state. It's kind of, I look at it as, you know, as a human being, you know, you're born and you're a toddler, you're a newborn, you're a toddler, and then you start crawling, walking, running, and then you start maturing, and then, you know, there's old age. So it's that's like the way that a business is. And so my leadership style, I think in the beginning, was more of, let me just do it for you, let me just do it. And I think that I'm a doer, I'm a visionary, but I'm also a doer. And now I think that I've transitioned into a more of a coach. You know, let me show you, let me mentor you, you do it and let me watch. And I think that that's kind of how I've evolved. And, you know, coming as a business owner, you're the owner, you are the coach, you are the quarterback, and many days you're picking up the trash. And I think that, you know, you have to be okay with all of these scenarios, and I'm okay with all of these scenarios. And many days when you come to work, you don't know which one you're going to be. And that's kind of the of it, you know, just showing up and saying, well, today I'm gonna mentor, today I'm gonna do, or today I'm gonna lead, and or today I'm gonna watch.
yeah. Before we get to the question of success, which we ask all our guests, I read something that you said when you ask someone during an interview what their weakness is. You have said that if they don't have one, it's a red flag. And I agree with that. I'm curious though, what is your weakness?
I'm terribly impatient, and I have a ton of weaknesses, and I'm happy to go over all of those. You know, we have this we use something called Strength Finder, and there's also another personality profile called High Five, and it tells you what your strengths are. I think that early on in my career, maybe not knowing, we really want to get the right person in the right seat of the bus. So now it's like, what are you really good at? And we really hone in on what the employees are really good at, and what our team is good at, and really want them to work on that, as opposed to, if you're not good at data, if you're not good on the computer, don't do that. If you're great at patient care, do patient care. If you're great at admin, do great at admin. And so I think that, you know, we really want to focus in on what a person is good at, and hone in on those skills. And so that's why we ask those questions. I'm terribly impatient. I wanted everything done yesterday. I'm very critical of myself, and therefore it comes out. I'm then become highly critical of my work, and, you know, should have said this, and I could have done this better. And so I've learned how to give grace to myself and to others, and let things go. And so, you know, I think it's a learning and growing is an evolution that is constant.
Sabrina, I was thinking when you asked the question, I was thinking about your weakness, and I could not think
Mine?
of anything. Yeah, so I
You
couldn't
can't
think
think
of
of
a
one for
weakness.
me?
Correct.
Oh, well, I'm
Correct.
flattered. Thank
So
you. But you
just
know
give us
what?
one weakness.
Yeah. So, Trudy, you said that your leadership style before was like, I can do it. I will do it. Give it to me. I'll just get it done. And I have tried over and over, whether I've worked for an organization or worked for myself in our business. And that's still something I have trouble overcoming. Like I think it's maybe a lack of, it could be a lack of trust in others, where I think I know what I want, so let me just do it myself.
Yeah, I think it
And
is trust.
so
Fair.
I will work on that.
Yeah, and it's control,
Fair
right? I
enough.
think we all suffer. If you have an A personality, we all suffer from the control. And right, we want to control everything because we can do it better than anybody else. And so we have that mindset. And at the end of the day, when you're running a company, you can't do everything. You can't do everything. So you
Exactly.
have to.
Yeah.
You have
You
to.
have to delegate and trust. Yeah.
Well,
What is
Trudy,
yours,
I don't think
Andrew?
you. I was going to say, I don't think Trudy would hire me because I'm a true novel writer. I have no weaknesses, Sabrina.
Well, that's great to know.
I have too many. Honestly, we could be an hour and a half on the podcast. Right now, my weakness is every time I get angry with my kids, I feel like I'm punching them. So, it's like I have too many to even start. So let's get into it. Trudy, definition of success. Has it evolved over time?
Yes, absolutely. It's defined way different. I think that, being Indian, our parents define success as something way different than what we define it. I think that we, take on our definition of our parents, and our parents' definition may be more monetary or maybe more education, where, oh, you have this degree and you make this money and you have these possessions. I think that maybe our culture promoted that a little bit. I think that we all came from that. But now I don't think it's that anymore. At least it's not for me. Now it's more like, where am I going in my life? What is my life purpose? I think that for me is success. Yes, I've created a great company. Do my employees respect me? Do I respect myself? And where do I see myself going? What do I do for the community? How do I help and inspire others? So for me, that's the new definition of success. I think that my own evolution is where my success lies. Now it's about where I was before. I feel like I've transformed my personality for the last 3 years, just from some things that have happened in my own growth. It always takes some sort of a catalyst in your life. That is detrimental, like, it's something happens to you that makes you reroute yourself. And that happened to me in 2019 and 2020, which made me reroute myself. And it was probably the most turning point in my life. And I'm grateful for it. And I hope that, like, if we're not evolving every 2 3 years as a human being, I don't think that we're growing. And so that's kind of my hope and my wish for myself, that I am able to continue to evolve, and my evolution comes through reading and learning from others. And whenever I meet somebody new, I just sit there and I say to myself, I am going to learn something from them. I may not agree with everything that they say, but I am going to learn something from this person is going to teach me something. And when you go in there with that mindset, you will learn something. But if you have the opposite mindset, and I think that the power of your mind is the key thing. If you have the mindset of, like, I don't like this, well, your mind is going to say, I don't like this person, I don't like this place, I don't like this thing. And so I've really trained my mind, because that's how I used to be, like, just see the not so good in things. And I think that now, being the critical person, so now I've changed that to, like, I like such and such, and I like this, and I like your red shirt, and I really like your background of those three pictures that you have back there. So if you train your mind to do that, you only see good. So I think that that's success for me.
That's beautiful. The only thing I got from that, Trudy, or which struck a chord to me, was the fact that we love and respect our parents so much as Indians that we actually care about their definition of success for us. Because if we ask somebody who's not Indian, when we talk about success, even if they don't talk about financial metrics, they'll talk about time management and being able to do what they want whenever they want. But the fact that we mentioned, and you mentioned, mom's views, dad's views, I think that's such an Indian and honest answer that I can relate to 100%. So thank you for that.
Well, I think it's part of the fabric of who we are. and that's how
Yeah.
we're raised. And I think that our upbringing, we should talk about our upbringing. Indian parents are tough on their kids. Our generation, our parents were tough on us, and I think that it makes us tough. It makes us it makes us more successful because we had that type of a parent. I think that in our generation of, you and Sabrina are raising your children very differently than the way that we were raised. And so
We're too soft.
yeah, so the expectation is, I think it's managing expectations. You want your kids now to do what they love. That's what you're teaching them, that you want them to be happy, happiness and joyful and love and be kind and those. I don't remember having those conversations with our parents. It was like, you need to go to school, you need to make good get grades, and
Yeah.
you need to be best in your class. And so those were the conversations that we were having. We were not having like, are you happy and what did you learn today at school? Those were not our conversations.
I feel like Trudy has cameras in my house and is seeing exactly what I'm doing every day with my kids. That's exactly right. You hit it. You hit the nail. You
Did you
mentioned
remember when you
2019.
came? I was gonna say, you remember
Yeah.
when you came in December and Trudy, he came to visit and he's like, you tell Naima, my 10-year-old, you tell her every chance you get how proud of her you are and how much you love her. And I'm like, why not? I think it's a good thing.
It
But,
sh- it
hearing
shocked
a,
me. It shocked.
And that's how we should be doing it, right? Because we didn't get that. And if you look at the five love languages, right, we yearn for things that we don't have or we didn't get. So we look for things that we want and we didn't have.
yeah, I do want to ask, you're, a powerful woman with a successful company career. What advice do you have for young girls today when it comes to being leaders? A lot of young girls are called bossy. And my daughter's gotten that, like, you're bossy. And I'm like, you're not bossy. You're a leader. You just have to learn how to use it, those attributes. What is your advice to young girls?
I think that these labels are what get us in trouble, right? You have like boss bitch, and you have all these words that we have come out with, and we I don't see the value in that. If somebody is got a leadership type of personality when they're young, we should garner and foster that. We should teach them to use those skills, and our parents should instill them to be like, yes, you should go do that and you can conquer the world. I think that that's how we should try. But like, weak people raise weak kids, strong people raise strong kids. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And so how are you going to go tell somebody who the parent doesn't understand how to raise their kid? How am I going to have this conversation with them? You are going to raise who the type of parent, the people that you are, right? And so if you look at your circle of people that you're surrounded by, you're not going to get along with everybody, right? And so they're raising the kind of kids that like who they are. And so I think that you can't worry about anybody else. You do the best you can as yourself and your little nuclear family, and the rest of the world is noise. My coach told me such a great thing, and I have to remember this every single time when I get misaligned with myself. Is like, think of this room. This room is your inside, right? This is your heart. This is who you are. It's a soundproof room that you're sitting in. Everything else, everything else is noise. Do not let the noise get inside the soundproof room. And I think that if you live your life like that, I think you understand it a lot better. So you and your nuclear family is in that soundproof room, and everything else is noise.
I don't think I've taken more notes in any of my previous episodes, Trudy. I think you are a teacher. I think if clinical trials doesn't work out in 10 years' time, you could be a teacher. You mentioned coach. You're talking about a life coach?
Yes, I love having life coach. I think that it's after we graduate from college, what learning do we do? I mean, if you think about it, unless you make a concerted effort to go get books and do Audible and do things like that, okay, that's self learning, which I totally believe in. But I believe in that instilling people that are smarter than you are or know more than you in a certain area, getting their perspective on things, whether it's your career, whether it's your family, whether it's I think I truly believe that most things can be fixed. Marriages, relationships, businesses. If you have to say one word that defines everything that we have in our life, it's communication. That's really it. Whether I'm communicating with an employee or I'm communicating with my spouse or my girlfriend, it's all the same. And if I need to learn how to be a better communicator, which I think I do, um, I will instill somebody who can teach me that, who can make me better. And so I think that we go to a primary care doctor, a cardiologist, an endocrinologist for our health, but yet the most important thing, which is our mind, we're like, oh no, that's okay. We don't need anybody for that. We can do that on our own. And then you can just tell a lot about a person by the words that they use. If they're using negative words, that's just a window into how they think and who they are.
Yeah, true. Trudy, in a previous interview, you said you recognized that you were focusing so much on your career and it wasn't ideal because it kept you from finding balance. Can you say you have found balance today?
I think I have found better balance today. I'm more balanced today. Would I like more? Yes, I think that Matthew McConaughey wrote a really good book called Green Lights, and he talked about chasing the man that he wants to be and
Hmm.
who he wants to be. And I took a lot away from that comment because we should be chasing the person that we want to be in the next few years, 3 years. We haven't come to, it's not this person that I want to be. I want to be better every day. If I try to be better just 1 inch, that's my only goal. If I learn one thing and I'm just better 1 inch tomorrow, I have succeeded. And so I think that, with the balance, I would like to inspire more employees. I'd like to, be more patient, communicate better. I've really tried to be careful with my words and really not say things that I will regret. So I find myself being quiet more and being a better listener. But, yeah, so I think balance is a continuous journey that I will always be on. I will never be off that train because
Yeah.
it's never ending.
I think we're opposites, Trudy. I'm totally the opposite for you. I Instead of planning to be a better person, I'm like, I feel like I should just live for the moment and enjoy who I am today. And maybe if I feel bad for something I said, my wife will tell me tomorrow, hey, I didn't like what you said. And then I'll try and correct myself. But I think sometimes we read too much and we're not happy with where we are today. And we're always planning for something later on in life. So I understand what you're saying in terms of the perspective. And I don't know. I just feel like we are very different in you and I, which is fair, which is fine. But I
I
feel like I'm
actually
learning a
relate
lot from
more.
you.
I actually relate more to Trudy. I think we want to better ourselves each and every day to be the best person we can be. And I think, I mean, when you said like the example of you said something and your wife didn't like it, you said I'm going to change that. That is that growth mindset, isn't it?
It's the mindset. The problem is my wife says that she doesn't believe me because I keep doing it. So,
You need to
you
work on
forget
that
these things.
growth.
Like I said, the weakness could be a whole episode on just the weaknesses. Anyway, so I want to know. I've been approached in the last year on LinkedIn by a lot of life coaches. I don't know, maybe they see something in my profile, which means I'm a good target. And I've never really considered it. I've always considered myself to be a happy person, and I've never thought there's a need for a life coach. But everybody that I know that does have a life coach says that their life is 10 times better because of the life coach. So, and then these are people that I respect and love and who I consider much smarter than me. So, because of that, I'm looking for a life coach. I wanted to ask you, what are the qualities that I should look for in a life coach? Or what are the three questions I should ask the life coach for me to decide who to say hire?
I think you should interview them. Okay. And I think that, like with everything, it's about chemistry. Who can you relate to? If you guys are opposites, you're not going to understand, you're not going to speak the same language. So I think that instead of you asking them three questions, you should just say, what is your approach? How do you coach people? What is your philosophy? And just let them tell you. And the one that you feel the most
Connect.
compelled, yeah, connected to, that's the person you choose.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
and interview as many people as you need to.
Got it. And I agree with the whole communication. I think communication is absolutely key for every relationship that I have. I think communication, not just work, personal, husband, wife, husband, children. I think communication and being there and being present, not being on the phone when I'm playing with the kids. I think that is one of the other weaknesses that I have that I'm consciously trying to correct.
Hmm, great. Trudy, what are your passions in life?
Growing up, I was not a great student. I was not a good student. I was like I was a smart kid, and I think that I studied to get by, but I did not study because I enjoyed it. And so now I think it's kind of gotten reversed. Now I enjoy learning. So I believe in the lifelong process of learning. That has become my passion. This whole growth mindset and this yearning to be better and to find purpose and to find direction. And I love that because I think I started that unbeknownst to myself 3 years ago. And I would like to think that things are so planned out, and I am a planner, but life is not planned out. And so I think that, I just I like learning new things. I like learning from people. So that's what I'm really passionate about. It gives me joy whenever I meet somebody and they teach me something, and it brings me joy to fix things about myself and recognize things about, like, self-awareness, that I was doing this and I really should not have been doing it this way, and I really should be doing it the way that I manage today, like coaching people, versus the way that I used to do it. I mean, like, I look back and I'm like, how did I even do it this way? And now I can't wait for the next 3 years, how I'm going to be and how much more evolved I will be. And I think that it's because I've had amazing mentors that have held my hand through this process. That's another thing. Always have a great mentor. Have
So
amazing,
many people, I feel like so many
surround
people
yourself with
that
people
I
smarter than
meet
you.
in our culture, the Indian culture, aren't willing to learn from others who've been successful before them. I have found that. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I have found that. Um, and I think,
No, I haven't found that.
no, I have
No,
found
I
that.
think
And I,
everybody wants to learn from people who are more successful than them. That's one of the
of
reasons for
course,
doing the pod.
no, of course I do, but I find that a lot of people don't. And Trudy, you also learn from books. You told me you read 300 books in the last 3 years.
Yes, I'm
That
an
is
avid reader.
phenomenal.
Yeah, and like I don't retain things really well, but everything that I read is it's all common sense, and I'm a big common sense person. And again, common sense is not common. What may be common to me may not be common to you. Just like Amit says, like that he doesn't feel like he doesn't evaluate himself. I evaluate myself after every meeting and do a postpartum, like, okay, this could have gone better, or did I make this person feel good? And whenever I'm giving bad news, I do good news, I sandwich it. I do good news, I do bad news, and I do good news, and I sandwich it together when doing a delivery. So I think that, like, when I read things and I learn things, I'm like, oh yeah, I should be doing that. Or I'm reading a great book right now from Stephen Covey's son, The Speed of Trust. And it's a really good read, and it talks about building trust and how easy, not easy, but how you can build trust. And you think that you just either have trust or don't have trust, which is not true. And have the ways to build trust and how you do it, and
I
and
need that
looking
book.
at the different ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really good read, and it's written more like a workbook. And whenever I drive, I love listening to audiobooks. So yeah, so long story short, I think that people that don't want to have a mentor, it's an ego thing. They already know everything. You can't teach them something, and so then you don't bother. If
Yeah.
I love the quote that, like, if somebody wants to walk next to me, I'm happy to teach them everything that I know, but if they don't want to walk with me, I'm not going to carry somebody on my back trying to teach them something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree. I love reading as well, but I, like you said, after reading the book, many times I'm like, okay, remember the key takeaways from the book. But then a month later, I go back to the book and I'll reread it. And it's like, oh, wow, I forgot about this. So my memory to retain the concepts that I read in all these business books, uh, I mean, let's add it to the weaknesses that I have. Trudy, you mentioned in your success answer, um, something about 2019, 2020. Something happened. I don't know. Do you win the lottery and people came after you for money, or if was COVID? You lost someone because of COVID. Is it something you can tell us, because you said it was an important part of your success and how you viewed success after that period?
Yeah, it was not winning the lottery. It was contrary to winning the lottery. Okay, so I had some health issues at that time, and I had a hard breakup. So it was a health breakup and a heart breakup, and
Got it.
it really puts things in perspective. It kind of shows you that how fragile life is, and how what's really important. And I think that it was this growth oriented mindset that helped me get through that time and really reposition me as a human being. So
Got it.
it's sometimes the hardest things that you go through that change you as a person, which I'm grateful for that, looking back at that.
So it actually helped you
Hmm.
in the long
And we
run.
hope your
Good.
health is in a
Thanks for
good
that.
place.
It is.
So, are we ready for some rapid fire?
Um, I actually, before we get into the rapid fire, Sabrina, I wanted to ask Trudy
Yeah.
about AI. Artificial intelligence. It's affecting every industry. Everyone's talking about it. Uh, how is AI affecting your industry particularly? Has it affected clinical trials? Do you see it affecting what you do? What are your thoughts in general about AI and generative AI?
AI is such an amazing thing. Healthcare is usually the last to get to things. We're in the patient care aspect of it. I I hope it helps, because we haven't seen it yet, but we want patients to see the value of clinical research, right? We want people to get educated. And that is not something that AI can do. It's a learning thing. People need to know that they're not going to be a guinea pig, that these are reputable companies that already have a drug on the market. I don't know how AI changes that. This is an education. So I think that AI will probably be around in healthcare a little bit later. I think the other industries are going to benefit first. I'm curious to see how it helps, but it hasn't had a lot of effect on us yet.
Are you scared? Like, I've heard there's some people who are already using AI to ask questions and making drugs. So they're taking FDA approved drugs, ABC, and then they're mixing 20% of A, 30% of B, 10% of C, and they're making their own drugs. And they're trying it on, obviously not through approval and companies like yourself, but more like, small groups of people. I mean, that scares the hell out of me.
I'm not scared about a whole lot of things, so nothing really scares me. So I can't, entrepreneurs are very much risk takers, so we're always gambling on things. Um, if somebody is doing something, it's not like they haven't been doing it before, right? Now they're just using AI. Maybe they'll get better results. I don't know. But, it's not coming in the mainstream. If they're doing something in their backyard, and they're mixing, vodka and tequila and mezcal, maybe they'll come up with something better. I don't know.
Breaking Bad scenarios. Got it. Sabrina, go ahead. Let's start the rapid fire.
Sounds good. So you've read 300 books in the last 3 years, and you can recommend one book. Which is it?
Oh, I love the book Outliers.
Outliers. Okay,
So the
what is it
book
about?
Outliers, it talks about why certain people are more successful than others. So, the bell curve, and it talks about why you have the Bill Gates and the Warren Buffetts, like what makes their lives different? Why are they different than the rest of the bell curve? And Beatles are in there too. And so they talked about the fact that it takes 10,000 hours to really get good at something. And if you are working a regular 40-hour work week, that's 5 years. So, what these people have done is they have condensed those 10,000 hours into a shorter time period. They just worked a lot faster, harder, and learned a lot quicker. And so they got to the market quicker. So the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs were at the computer library longer, and they learned the computer faster, and so therefore they were able to launch quicker. And so same thing with the Beatles. When the Beatles were practicing, they were in a small little bar, and they were getting paid for like 1 or 2 days of singing. They went to the bar owner and said, "You don't have a band on all these other days, can we play?" And the owner said, "Sure, you can play." So they worked out all these songs during those days that they were playing for free. And they perfected all these songs, and they had all these hits. And so it really is a great read, and talks about why certain people are more successful than others. And I thought that it was a very interesting.
I had a conversation with my parents the other day about hard work versus luck. And, it sounds like Outliers is really saying it's hard work, right?
I don't. Luck is opportunity, right? It's like I have a little thing in my desk, and it's funny that you talk about this, because it's a little thing that I got in a in a in a cookie, like in a fortune cookie, and it
Oh,
says good
okay.
luck is all about good planning, right? And I truly believe that. And here it is, and I have it taped. Good
Okay.
luck is a result of good
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 luck
luck
as a
is the
result
result
of
of
good planning. Good
good
planning.
planning.
good
Good
planning.
planning.
And because and it goes back to kind of a cultural thing, because I've always said it's not about luck. I've always said that. And I find myself, and I find my mother saying, who raised me, saying, "Oh, so and so is just lucky." just lucky, I'm not lucky. And I'm like, it's not about luck. It's this is everybody has an opportunity to, if we want to call it luck, everybody has a window of opportunity. You have to know which window to pursue. Everybody gets the opportunity. If I say, I'm going to give you an opportunity to launch something with Oprah, I'm just going to pick something, and you're like, no, I don't want to do it. Okay, you don't want to do it. The
Yeah.
opportunity was given to you. You don't want to do it. Right. So I think that it's everybody has opportunities. If you choose not to take it, that's on you.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
That's
Agree.
so there is no such thing as, oh, so and so got lucky. I don't
I've
believe
heard
in
it. I've heard it a million times. The harder I work, the luckier I am. I don't know who said it or how many people have said it, but I definitely agree with that. On a lighter question, favorite city to live with in the world?
favorite what?
Favorite city
Favorite city to live in
to
to,
retire?
to
Imagine
retire.
somebody came in and said, you know what, here's $10 billion check, buy my company out, you retire, and you have 10 billion in the bank, and you want to go live in a city and retire. Where would you go?
So, I'm a glass half full person or a fill it over person. Anywhere there is a beach and a sand. So that's my favorite. So it could be Cabo, it could be Turks and Caicos, it could be Maldives, it could be any place where there's sand and water. I have a connection to water. I think, um, you know, the ocean brings me peace. And so any place that has water, obviously I live in Texas, so Cabo and Mexico is in my backyard. That's easy, but if I'm retired, it opens up the world a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sabrina and I are actually from a beach town. We're from the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so
wonderful.
it's
If you
beautiful
haven't
out there.
been, highly
And so
recommend.
yeah, we go. I go every year, and next week I'm in Miami. I'm going to the beach. So I agree with you. There's something about the sea and the ocean that's just soothing. And when I'm too long in Chile, I need to get out and see the ocean because we have the Pacific here, but the Pacific is too cold to swim.
Yeah.
Sabrina,
Okay, next question. Favorite
next.
thing to do during your downtime? Not reading.
Oh my God, I have two amazing little Malteses. Okay. And they are the cutest and sweetest little dogs that I've ever owned. And so I love spending time with them. So I'm an animal lover too. So being
We
with them,
really, we really are opposites. You and I. I can't stand dogs or animals.
Oh my
yeah, so I'm an
gosh.
animal lover.
Yes, I like that.
I'm
Okay,
not.
go ahead, Mithu.
Got it. Got it. Let's go. Let's go back to the legacy one. Like you're in Times Square, New York, big board, and you've got 5-10 words to put your life legacy up on that New York Times Square board. What would those words be?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, Inspiring others to be better.
Inspiring others to be better. Got it. That's very selfless.
Last one. If Discovery had a mascot, what would it be? And you get bonus
Maltese, right?
points if it's a funny or unexpected mascot.
It's not going to be a cat, is it?
Well, I mean, Geico has that gecko, right? So,
Yeah.
so that's a good one. But I think like I'm fascinated with caterpillars and butterflies. How does that happen? Like, how does the caterpillar become this beautiful butterfly? And it can either become a butterfly or it can become a moth. Like moth is not that pretty. Caterpillar, the butterfly is beautiful. So I think that the transition from the caterpillar to going into a butterfly, which is the metamorphosis of life, is I think what the mascot would be.
Love it. Great answer. You're stunned,
Speechless. I need
Amitu.
to spend more time
Yeah.
with you, Trudy. I need to
I
spend
know.
more time with Trudy. She's inspired. She really inspires me. Trudy, when we did this pod, Sabrina and I said the pod either has to be inspiring or entertaining. Yeah. So you've managed to do both. You've managed to entertain us and you've managed to inspire us. So for that, I can only say thank you. And I hope to meet you in person next time I come visit Sabrina.
Absolutely. I would love to meet you.
Trudy, I know it's only been a couple of times we've seen each other in person, and the last time was at someone's birthday dinner. And I just knew I was so fond of you. I think you are so thoughtful, and I appreciate all the notes, especially if you're not growing, you're dying, because I feel like you got to keep, just like you said, keep that growth mindset, and just keep moving forward in life. So thank you for that. Thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate it. I think it's been such a fun chat.
And I like
Thank
the fact that it's always a good reminder, because most people who you listen to in business who are successful will say that luck played 80%, 50%. But I do believe that the harder you work, the luckier you get. So
Yeah.
I think,
That's
we've
a great.
spoken about parenting, we've spoken about healthcare, we've spoken about communication, we've spoken about, really, we've covered a lot of topics today, Sabrina. I really enjoyed this one.
I think you are the most inspired you've been on all our episodes today. So,
I was actually
Oh,
kind of nervous because I know nothing about healthcare and clinical trials and FDA. So, we both want to learn in these pods. So this was great. I really enjoyed it.
thank you,
Thank you.
Trudy.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
We just heard an episode of Indian Explorers. We hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, share it with others, and introduce us to our next guest. So, thank you for listening.
Bye.